My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and it's grand final.
I know, it's that bittersweet time where we reach the summit of the mountain, and now it's just the tumble down to the valley of waiting for next season.
We've reached the summit of the zenith.
We've reached the zenith of the summit of the peak of the top.
And we're now heading towards the trough of the low. But in the meantime,
yes,
we get to watch somebody hold up a cake plate on high. And what a beautiful metaphor. That's not even a metaphor, but what a beautiful metaphor that is. I'm claiming it. We're moving on. So,
look, it's what they originally wanted to pop on top of Everest. But they found that, it was too heavy in their packs.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of also feel like the biggest issue was they had the cake plate, but there was no cake. They forgot the cake. Much like the British when they came out here with the first fleet forgot farming tools and equipment and grain. Hillary took the plate, no cake.
But I do have to wonder though, because of the extreme temperature changes, maybe they didn't have something like Pyrex.
Bomb Alaska.
What?
It was perfect for a Bomb Alaska.
Yeah, but you're not hearing what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if he's carrying that cake plate and it's the old-fashioned glass and it can't deal with the extreme temperature changes...
Could have been metal. Then it would have frozen to him, I know.
Someone puts the cake on there and then goes to lick off the crumbs and then...
That's it. There were more than two people on the top of Everest, but we lost them because one of them was stuck to a cake plate at base camp. Yeah. Anyway, that was a weird detour even by our standards, but we're going to move on because...
I don't think we want to leave. I don't think we want to end this. I think this has been fun, and I think we're just kind of stalling.
I think it's really interesting.
By we, I mean me.
Yeah, I think it was really interesting as well. So,
how's your week been?
How's your weekend? You do not want to get into it, do you? You do not want to get into it.
Then we say goodbye to Bernard.
No, we don't just say. No one ever has. Bernard has his own Instagram. You don't have to say goodbye to Bernard.
All right. Okay. We've got. Okay.
So, I really enjoy the fact we began with panoramic shots of sunshine. And the reason I liked that was never going to last.
No. It was a very famous week for us because we got bloody COVID.
Yeah. So a little bit of we know what week the grand final was shot, and it was the week that we both got COVID.
Yes.
We know that. So, and that week was also very muddy. And for those who might have listened to the Vergies last year, the interviews that Aaron got, which were of course genuinely all at Stately Beer Manor.
Yes.
Might also have been in a muddy field, maybe next to a shed. Anyway, so yeah, it was muddy, and you saw that in the last shot of the whole thing in the bloopers. You saw Rachel and everyone in gumboots, and you saw the mud. So kudos to production for keeping it looking like it was a beautiful tropical oasis even in the middle of the showers.
I know. And I can't believe the sound. How did they get rid of the rain? Did someone have to, is there a digital editing tool? Do they have, a little digital...
Rain out.
A rain out.
Yeah. Also, there was a really interesting opportunity as well for somebody to leave a cake outside the shed.
Was there someone just out the front hushing the rain, just going, shh?
Yes, stop it. But someone could have, left a cake outside in the rain. And we could have had a complete retelling of MacArthur Park. It's the longest song ever recorded.
Yes.
And, the whole key to the chorus is someone left the cake out in the rain. I don't think that I can take it because it took so long to bake it and I'll never have that recipe again. Oh, no. Have you never heard MacArthur Park?
No, I don't think I've got
I
don't have the attention span for it.
It's 18 minutes. Richard Harris.
I really
the
don't have the attention.
The extended mix is 18 minutes. It's 9 minutes, the original.
Oh, good.
It's Richard Harris, former of Harry Potter fame.
Yes, okay.
And radio DJs in the 1970s used to put it on.
So they could go to the bathroom.
To go to the bathroom and have a smoke.
That's
They'd put MacArthur Park on and walk away.
Yep.
And they'd come back 18 minutes later because they play the extended mix.
Look, it's one reason why I assume it went to, it got on the charts because...
DJs were like, we need a break.
Yeah.
I like the idea that there was a DJ who just did mid-dawns and all they did was play MacArthur Park on a loop. They walked in and went, hello everybody, and here's the first song, and didn't come back to the end of the shift.
Now I know who has the best gig in radio. Fucking classical music hosts. You put on a friggin' symphony and you've got half an hour.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Puccini.
Yes.
Go away.
Here's some Turandot.
some Churundot. Can I
He's
just say,
all of the Churundot.
can I just say, you will not find a podcast anywhere.
No.
And I'm talking about classical music ones. You will not find a podcast anywhere that talks more about Churundot than we do.
I don't know why it's our go-to opera.
Like, it is our go-to opera. But we're definitely stalling.
It always feels like it's been shown in Sydney, though. That Naida. Like,
Yeah, that Naida. There was that back-to-back year. Anyway, that's a whole other podcast. It's literally called The Washing Up Presents Turandot. So go back and listen to it if you really want to hear all of that. In the meantime, there was a grand finale surprise, and we talk, of course, about, as Natalie Tran said, baking all of the previous bakes in 6 hours.
Look, I think that's a great one.
I'm here for that. What's your last challenge?
Yeah, it's a 72-hour challenge. And it's just like an endurance challenge.
But only in 6.
Because it's like, you know, those radio contests where it's like the person with their hand.
Last person with their hand on the car wins.
Yeah.
Last baker still at their mixer gets the cake plate. Yes. Like, this has just been a thing. Now it's an endurance test.
Yeah.
It feels like that's... If the Japanese game shows
Yeah.
did Bakeoff, that would be the ending.
Yes.
But
it would.
somebody would be like throwing bricks at you. Not like polystyrene or rubber bricks. Real bricks.
No. They bring up 3 bricks and you have to pick the brick that's being thrown at you. 2 are actual bricks, one's an illusion cake.
And you get hit, and then what happens is afterwards, your family sit in a studio and watch it, and there's a little close-up box, and as you get hit in the face with either the cake or the actual brick, they're expected to laugh uproariously, and everyone plays like gong noise. It's like, Anyway, we're stalling because we don't want to get into it, and what we don't want to get into is, of course, we're into the shed.
Yep.
And the guest judge is Maggie Beer.
It was just that little moment of her footsteps coming down to the... I just assumed that she opened up a portal.
Yep.
Well, look,
she's been really busy because, like, after the Vergies and the unpleasantness, and there was lots of unpleasantness. Go back and listen if you need to. She needed to fix a lot of things.
I mean, it could have been that Nerman dropped her off from the hot air balloon, so he was there in the
well, Nerman came back after we got you back, of course, from Big Plum.
Yeah.
Nerman did fly back again, so I'm pretty sure he probably dropped Maggie off, and then he might have picked her up and taken her to the grand final.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. It's like,
Has to have. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way now. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with Maggie Beer, obviously. I love Maggie Beer.
Don't we all?
National treasure Maggie Beer. I like the idea of her being a guest at the grand final. I absolutely love that idea. I kind of even... The setting of the technical, I can even kind of go, yep, cool. Mm-hmm. That's fine. I didn't like her necessarily being a guest judge for the grand final. And my rationale for this is she hasn't been there for 9 weeks.
Yeah.
She's not seen the last 9 weeks. Also...
It also gives some fresh perspective.
Yeah, but the last 9 weeks have also been judged a certain way.
Yeah.
And then Maggie judges... And we've talked about this. Maggie judges differently to the way that they judge.
Look, my only concern is that if you didn't know Maggie Beer was coming into the shed, there's a good chance that you'll bake with pecans and chili and either risk killing her or disgusting her.
Well, I mean, they did use chili. Adam used chili in his showstopper.
Oh, he did too.
And she said she loved it. So, maybe she's changed.
I mean, you can see that Laura also changed up her showstopper because she brought out... She's like, Maggie's here, I need 6 times more butter than I was intending
all of the
to
butter.
bake.
Every packet of Lurpak we've ever seen. Yeah, look, as I said, it's not horrific. I'm not raging, but it just sort of... Again, I loved seeing Maggie, but... my other thing was, and this might be where you're going with this too, I think we might be going the same place. I felt really bad for Rachel Koo in this episode.
See, I didn't see that. I saw that. I didn't see Rachel being put off to the side because after it finished, we had a little chat, and you're like, oh, I felt like Rachel was being put off to the side. I didn't feel that. Like I felt it was quite balanced. I think that it was just an incorporation of all 3 of them. I agree possibly not having her as a judge, maybe bringing her just in for the technical.
Yeah.
But...
Because she was talking about, we've got really hard decisions to make based off, and I'm like, you haven't been there for 9 weeks. When, like, for example, later on in the challenge where she's like, Adam used juniper in the showstopper, and she's like, oh, you've used juniper. And that was, we'll dive a little bit deeper into that one in the showstopper, because that was interesting, that little note there, because she's got a different level of juniper.
Yeah, but when I can't remember anyone using juniper, and I'll happily be corrected. I can't remember anyone using juniper or as pronounced as Adam in this bake when Maggie was judging, like over the past.
No, but it's more about like gin flavors and stuff like that. We know that that's something.
Maggie likes a bit of gin.
That's the thing. Maggie likes a bit of gin.
Everybody
And that was one.
likes
But we'll
a
get
bit
to
of
there
gin.
anyway. Let's get into this. So the signature.
Yes.
So the signature was a high tea, 3 items, a mixture of savoury and sweet.
Yep.
You needed 6 of each, so it's 18 things in total. They had very different styles of what they suggested. So Rachel Koo said she was looking for creativity and personality to shine. Darren Purchase said he wanted light and delicate bites because, of course, it's a high tea. And Maggie said have fun. So we got 3 hours to do this bake, and the first 10 minutes, it felt like, of this challenge was everyone talking about how amazing Maggie Beer is, which she is. That's not a criticism. It's more a comment on that's what the next 10 minutes were. Everyone's like, Maggie's amazing. Maggie's wonderful. Can't believe Maggie's here.
Yeah, but we only had 3 bakers in the shed, and it's
You need to stretch it out.
And the whole grand final is about, a bit of filler, a bit more backstory, a bit more, shots of Laura whisking.
So poor Laura. Look, let's sort of mention it now because Laura spent almost the entirety of the first half of this challenge in the background of everyone else's shot whisking or in the foreground whisking.
The other interesting thing that you picked up too was the amount of cheese that, like, obviously they did a big edit cut in between Adam starting to grate the parmesan to Adam finishing the parmesan.
Because Laura goes, I smell parmesan. It smells delicious. And they cut to Adam, who starts his monologue talking about his baking and talking about making this. And then they cut away, and then they cut back to Adam, who's still talking in this monologue. But clearly a lot of time has passed because he's got, like, the nib of the cheese left. I'm like, have you just been grating this? What was the rest of the monologue? Yes. I like the idea it was like, get the radio show Get This's version of Kim Beazley. It was just Adam over and over again going, I like cheese. I love a bit of cheese. So Adam was making specular and frangipane tart.
Yum.
Lemon myrtle and ginger biscuits. And a parmesan cake with tomato chili jam and pesto.
Lovely. So, like speculoos is basically, it's like spices with ginger is like the main kind of...
Love a specular.
Yes, you do. I
really
like
do.
a specular.
Yes.
Because I'm white and I'll say the yes.
Specular.
Plus I'm rude and like to say the yes. Anytime I can get a bit of arse in.
Now, Darren said that this sounded ambitious. And Maggie said that he needed to make sure that he looked for the balance.
Yes.
Alona. Now, Alona was making a Moorish high tea. Not an ode to Monica.
Yes.
She of Moorish Cakes fame. Moorish Cakes. Yeah, she's everywhere. Go look her up. Anyway, there's a plug for you, Monica. Not that you need it. You're a superstar without us.
Yes.
But it was because Alona said that she's always being told to bring more, have more, add more, do more, be more.
See
more. See more!
The house is on fire. You're saying that, yet my head just went to Othello and Shakespeare. And she's like, I need to bring some more to this. I'm like, oh no, it's going to be like a very jealous bake.
Yeah. That's
going to, be fooled by a treacherous maid.
There's a ruse.
There's a ruse that, ends in tragedy.
So... They then cut to... They did montages for everybody to talk about what they thought their strengths were, which were like, we talked about that. They talked about Adam and his technicals. Yeah. But here it was really funny because they went Alona and her use of complex flavours, and they cut to Darren Purchase saying in the most least enthusiastic way, wow, fennel. And it was just the way that edit worked. It's just, wow. Fennel.
It was delightful. It feels like a little bit of playful sarcasm.
It reminded me of...
And not against Alona. It was just kind of like someone really going, funny. This is a punchline.
It was like there's a sketch from one of the radio shows from The Naked Vicar, the 1970s ABC comedy, where it's this radio thing about this guy who's a race caller, and all he can do is and they talks in race voices and stuff like that as well. But the wife is making this really complex dinner apparently.
Right.
And he takes the cover off and he goes, oh, look, Jan, you've done it again. A curry sausage. And for some reason, him going, wow, fennel, had the same vibe to it.
Oh gosh. You've gone on a deep dive that even I
No,
can't
I'm
follow
the
you.
only person in Australia who's getting that one.
Yeah.
So, hazelnut biscuits. So this is what Alona was making. Hazelnut biscuits with carrot halva.
Yes.
Chestnut creme pat eclairs. And chickpea panache with black garlic aioli and anchovy.
Oh, I was here for the eclairs. You know me, I'm a bit like Maggie. I like my choux pastry. Fan of eclairs, and adding that chestnut. Oh,
yeah.
Still a resistance.
Now, Maggie loved those flavours, but then
She
she warned about watching out for the anchovy being overpowering, and also said that texture and balance with the chickpea mixture. Then Alona said that she was using a really hot oven to increase the crispness, at which point Maggie Beer burst into spontaneous nodding.
Yep.
I was like, yes, okay, you know what you're doing.
You'd hope so. She's in the final.
Then we cut back to Laura, who was whisking. And then we cut back to Laura again for one of the rare times that she was not whisking. Laura was talking about the idea...
Whisking her way to winning.
Thank you for avoiding saying whisk it for the biscuit. Anyway...
well, she wasn't making... Oh, no, she did make a biscuit. Oh, my God.
So, Laura was talking about the idea of food equaling love, and this idea of, you don't... In culture, you don't say, I love you or how are you. You express it through, have you eaten yet?
Yes.
And I like that, by the way. I absolutely love that idea. It's kind of how I express, have you eaten yet? What are you eating? Have you eaten yet? It's true. It's that idea of, food as not only nourishment, but love, and that nourishment of more than just eating.
Well, I had that yesterday. So, we caught up with my older sister's in-laws who are Lebanese.
Yes.
And I haven't seen most of them for over a decade, and a family thing's brought us together. But we've met up at a picnic in the park. My only disappointment is they weren't doing their charcoal chicken on the fire, because apparently that's banned now in parks or something. And I'm like, screw you for oppressing the tastiness. They did bring store-bought ones, so that's fine. But it's like we hadn't, I remember being younger, and my most fond memory is of there being pressed into garlic peeling, and it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
It's smelly, but we made the best bloody garlic dip and just talking and whatever else. And it was that whole, here is food, here is love. And I'm sitting down with them eating, and oh my God, the kibbeh that someone brought was so good. It had a bit of chili through it. It was just perfect. And I'm like, how many of these do you reckon I could fit in my handbag? 5 minutes later, Kristie, how many you want to take home? They were being...
There's a container in the fridge.
There's a container in the fridge. And then I'm getting tips you can freeze these and then reheat them. I'm like, oh, thank you. That was from Rod. He was so funny. He came to join the Anglo-Saxon table, as he called it. He goes, I've got the most Anglo-Saxon name here.
Rod. So anyway, Laura then was going with a kaya milfois.
Yes.
Then jasmine tea biscuits with lychee jelly. And then seaweed scones topped with salmon. And the seaweed scones, they were like, so how are you going to get the flavour of the seaweed through? And after the next sentence, I don't think I've seen Maggie Beer that happy in a very long time, when she said, I'm using furikake and nori to push the flavour. And you saw Maggie go, oh yes, you said my favourite words.
Maggie is... Well, for people in Australia, she's low-key Japanophile.
Yeah.
But for those of us in the know, Maggie is kawaii. She is all the she's a J-file.
When we talked about that...
Oh, no, that's a triple J.
Yeah, that's a different thing. But when we talked about, when last year when she set the Japanese cheesecake, and it's and some people went, that seems really weird that Maggie said that. No, Maggie loves anything from that part of the world.
Yeah.
Now, Natalie then talked about the idea of did the Wizard of Oz joke. And she's like, but, we need to work out who is who. And it probably would have been a fantastic joke.
Yes.
But we did it last week, folks.
This from the podcast that keeps bringing up Turandot, the Kim Beazley joke from a defunct radio
When was the last time we were paid for this?
We have a bit.
We don't have an editor.
We don't
have an editor.
No, and I have no filter.
And you have no filter. So...
And apparently I need to expand my knowledge of operas.
You really do.
Do I really, though?
Turandot's not cutting it. Actually, no, Turandot is cutting it. Anyway, Alona then froze... Alona did the most Alona thing I think I've seen, which was freezing her shoe to make sure that she got accurate cuts for exact eclairs.
That's brilliant.
It's brilliant, and it's also very Alona.
And it's also freezing shoes.
It is.
which you'd get if you're on Everest
Oh,
with your metal cake pan.
I knew where we were going, and yet I couldn't stop it.
I'm trying new bits.
We then had new
Everest
steps.
is the hill I'm going to die on.
Of all of the hills you could die on, Everest is certainly the biggest. So Adam was then steeping lemon myrtle. And he's like, I don't think I've got enough lemon flavour. This lemon myrtle will add the zing I need. I'm sure he also saw Maggie Beer and went, "Anyone got any myrtle?" I'm sure there's some myrtle. Maggie, can you check your handbag?
Yeah, she just goes, "Oh, you have to lemon myrtle, dear." She's like the quintessential
Do you
mum
want it
that brings
ground up or do you want it in leaf form or?
Okay, now I'm imagining. So you know how there's this thing where like, oh, all mums carry snacks around. That's such bullshit. But if Maggie Beer was your mother, okay, like beautiful Sasha, rest her soul. It's Saskia, sorry,
Saskia, yeah.
as a child, is there and she's like, "Mom, I'm hungry," and then Maggie pulls out and there's like a tureen.
There's a plum pudding. We know there's a plum pudding.
She's like, "Would you,
Mummy?
Would you like some balsamic on your throat, Mummy?
Mummy,
I need my plum pudding.
would you like some verjuice over that, dear?" Yeah. Meanwhile, it was so nice to put verjuice back on the drinking game card.
Yes.
And as we'll see later on, hit. So Laura then started something. Laura spilt milk.
Ooh.
Alona then spilt oil. And then Adam knocked his whisk over, paused, looked at the camera, and just very calmly went, "I have curd up my back."
I never felt so represented on TV until this moment. When
It's a floor bake.
You're just going around your daily life.
Forget a tray bake, it's a floor bake.
And something happens, you're like, how the fuck did I just spill milk all over?
But it was the way that Laura, like she's just everywhere. And then, she's going to clean up. And then Alona later on with the
oil. And
Alona did what I do when I spill something on the floor, which is put the 2 bits of towel under your foot and just walk around. And she's like, "Where did all the time go?" "I know. I spilled oil on the floor. That's where the time went." Yeah. And then we got the group hug between Alona and the host as well, which was lovely.
I've got more whisking action. Not from Laura this time.
And this time, Natalie, obviously inspired by watching Laura, is whisking on behalf of Alona while they're getting a group hug in.
Asking if this is friendship.
But the other thing that I wanted to talk about at Alona's bench was the squeezy cat toy.
Where'd that come from?
Now, I would like to know, can we throw this into future series for assistance? Everyone gets one, and once in a series, you can squeeze your squeezy cat toy.
We are bordering on Cutthroat Kitchen. We're just edging closer and closer.
It's helping, not hurting.
Kitchen.
Cutthroat Kitchen would be hurting.
Look,
you'd be expected to whisk with the squeezy cat toy.
It is the gong that they had in MasterChef. I think it was MasterChef Junior. They had the gong, or was it?
It was the gong, yes.
Yeah, they had the gong, right?
And look, the gong was brilliant because as we did say, with a certain individual child, go and eat everything in the challenge and then hit the gong. So you got a free feed and you're not going home.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's cool. So the squeezy cat toy equivalent, it's like you just pick a week where you don't want to go home. Like I just want to make it to cake week. Squeezy cat toy.
You want to make it to cake week. In other words, week one.
Yeah,
you are setting a low bar.
No, it's how you get through friggin' what's it called? Auditions.
You're setting.
Gotta let me in. I squeeze the cat toy.
You are setting a Laurent low bar. Who did that after challenge number 1, if you remember correctly? When I haven't been sent home yet, and I'm like, it's the first challenge. No one's been sent home
yet.
So we then got one of my favourite time calls of the series, which was you have the length of time that Darren can go without beginning a sentence with the words "I" and "love." 30 minutes.
See, I think that's a bit generous myself.
Yeah, I think that's... Well, the said was the maximum amount of time. Cal then walked over and we got a hit on the forage. Massive hit on the forage because Cal goes over to Adam's bench and didn't just get a bit of the cake.
No, she got a whole...
He made her a mini version of the whole thing. And then she goes, "I'm going to go back and tell Nat that I got something," and she didn't. But successful foraging there. Alona then is doing the piping on top of the slightly warm pastry that she had with the "Don't you melt mayonnaise," which feels like a motivational sentence.
Don't you melt mayonnaise?
Like you're trying to
hang in there, kitty.
Yeah, you're trying to talk yourself up.
Yeah, don't you melt
you've got
mayonnaise.
this. You can focus. You can concentrate. don't you melt mayonnaise.
I think that's good advice for the next lot of bakers.
Alona, if you want to make a series of motivational posters,
tea towels,
maybe with Bernard, and just under it, don't you melt mayonnaise. I think that
oven
would
mitts?
be
Aprons.
Yep. I mean, I put out the image this week of I said on the
Chopping
socials.
boards.
On the socials, we mentioned it last week on the podcast. I put out the image of
squeezy bottles that you'd put mayonnaise in.
The Do It for Bernard wall chart. I think you could release that, but I also think rather than hanging there, kitty. I think Don't You Melt Mayonnaise with Bernard would be fantastic. Adam then found some gold glitter, hit on the drinking game, and added it all over everything. Like, I was stunned there was any gold left. Like, I was sure it was all gone by this point.
Yeah.
And then we got to the plating, and everything sort of went fine, except for Alona nearly at the last second punching all of her eclairs off.
Look, save the violence for the next for the technical, because we're going to get into some slap and tickle.
We really are going to get into some slap and tickle. So, the judging. Adam. Darren said it was very elegant, and it was very high tea. Now, that can be taken a number of ways. I just want to put that out there. It was a very high tea. We'll come into that again when we're talking about steep. Look, it was sort of mentioned when we were watching the episode. It was mentioned while Laura was, putting seaweed into her scones.
Yeah, and I'll say you could just soak it into the butter like you do for hash brownies. Not that I've ever made those.
It would have been a very high tea.
I really haven't. That's not me being sarcastic, by the way.
No, very much.
I know a lot of things in theory.
Yeah. Maggie liked the exactness of what Adam had done, and also liked the balance. Rachel was very happy with the texture. Said that he avoided soggy on those. The pastry on the tarts was really good. Good warmth in the speculoos as well. Mm-hmm. Darren loved the biscuit. Said there was good tang with the heat of the ginger. Maggie was very happy with the myrtle balance. Again, it's Maggie, so
yeah, gotta get that myrtle balance right.
Rachel then called it deceiving because it looked simple but was packed with flavour. Yeah. They looked really good, actually. The top and the bottom with just a little bit of creme coming through the middle of it looked really nice.
Oh, it all looked good. Like, this is the thing, right? When you usually go to a high tea, 90% of the time, it's disappointment.
Yes.
Like, they do...
Not a fondant fancy in sight, and aren't we pleased?
Like, there was just this time where every fucking cafe in Sydney that had any type of view was doing a high tea, and you'd go along to it, and the sandwiches had obviously been made the day before, like, the cakes hadn't quite been thawed yet.
The fondant fancies were more fondant, less fancy.
Yeah, it was fondant...
Yeah, so the fondant,
yeah, it was fondant from Fantastic Furniture, not fondant, not fondant from a fancy store
from Nick Scully,
or Darucci.
Oh God, not Darucci.
Oh no, you can't have any cream in Darucci.
No, you can't walk in the door. Darucci Beds is one of the few stores in the history of mankind that I have walked in, and legitimately they came up to me and basically said, "Can you please leave without causing a scene?"
I mean, you did have your cup. Your hot cocoa and your pajamas on, ready to have I was ready.
They make it sound comfortable. So Alona, they said it was a very sophisticated presentation. Mm-hmm. So the batter of the chickpea was firm but not tough. Good creamy balance with the aioli. Mm-hmm. Darren thought the batter was really clever. Mm-hmm. The carrot, Maggie said the delicateness of the biscuit was really good, and Rachel loved the texture. The eclairs were very well filled. Chestnut was unsweetened, and they said that was a really good call.
Yeah.
And the choux was really crispy. They all love the panisse the most.
This is what I want when I go to a high tea. Not disappointment. I want to be wowed, and I would be utterly happy. I could have this as my high tea and never need to go to a high tea again.
I personally was intrigued by the anchovy use, but, that's me. But I was definitely here for the garlic aioli, though. That's me. Laura, they said it was very well presented. Darren commented that in London they don't get flavours like these in scones. No shit.
Okay. So my beautiful nephew, one of my beautiful nephews who I saw yesterday, he's in his 20s. He plays Oztag, and he was representing Lebanon. Look, he's born in Australia. I don't know how it works, but he got to represent Lebanon in an international Oztag thing. Yes. In Ireland. Now, I think it was basically an excuse to have two Australian teams over there, because guess who made the final?
Yeah.
Australia and Lebanon. So he's in Ireland, and I said, "Oh, how did you find the food?" And he's like, "Nothing nothing's halal unless it's vegetarian. He goes, we found the only halal place, like kebab shop in the whole of like Dublin or wherever they were. And he goes, and even the guy in the shop didn't know what was and wasn't halal, because we walked in and asked him, and he's like, oh, everything apart from these three things. They're like, okay, we ordered. And then the rest of his teammates came in to order something, and the guy told them something different. And they're like, dude.
No idea.
Dude, what shit. Yeah.
Now, with the scones, they loved the salty, savoury umami hit that you got with that mixture.
Yes.
Now, Rachel loved the multiple sensations there as well. The jasmine biscuit, they said, was a good golden bake, and the lychee really lifted it. Mm-hmm. The millefois, the kaya jam was great with the saltiness, and the pastry was really flaky.
Yeah, when I saw her cutting that millefois pastry, I just went, look at how buttery that is. Like, that looked phenomenal.
Look, Laura and Lurpak had a really good night together.
They did.
Really good night. So the technical.
In fact, her new name is Lurpakron.
So, the technical.
Yeah.
The technical was a Maggie Beer technical, which also explains why last week was a double technical where Darren and Rachel set it together, because then they had an even number of technicals, one combined, and Maggie got the last one.
Yeah, that's true.
So, don't crumble under pressure. Mm-hmm. Give it a slap. Be firm.
Yes.
Now, we also know from experience that quite often Maggie, even when she goes with the innuendos, doesn't really see the innuendos.
No.
So there is every chance that Maggie said all of that and thought it was a bit mischievous, but didn't quite pick up the level of innuendo going on.
No, it was. As she was talking about this, I did start to think of Rihanna's S&M song just in the back of my head. You know, it could go that way, but I felt more like it was heading towards the Latvian slap dances. Have you seen that?
See, the only one I think of is the fish slapping dance from Monty Python.
Yes.
Which is the Finnish fish slapping dance.
So my dad's cousin was in European vacation as
You've
one of
mentioned
the
this.
Latvian dancers that was slapping each other in the face. And I'm like, I just felt that this is possibly what inspired it. I don't know.
Possibly.
Just, you know, back in the olden days where they're trying to make pies and they're like, we need to get our slapping up. And they're like, and you know how they put everything to a song or a dance to pass on the knowledge?
Exactly.
Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe that's what it was. So Maggie's guinea fowl terrine. Can I just say, we haven't had a bake like this all year.
No.
Look, this is the most Maggie Beer thing. Like, Maggie comes in, guinea fowl terrine. You're like, of course.
Vinicotto.
Vinicotto was there. Verjuice was there.
It
was just Maggie's olive oil.
Yes, that's right.
But the marinated apricots, the apricots which came from Stately... Can I just say, nature is healing.
Yeah.
Because Stately Beer Manor is regrowing the apricots again. We've made the orchard's back.
Woo!
Look, after the dragons and their issues, and the unpleasantness after that ceremony, I was a bit worried about how the apricots were going to come back, but they've bounced back beautifully, it turns out.
I'm just surprised that the Davidson plum orchard isn't back.
Probably not. It probably takes a bit longer, or it's overtaken the whole of Stately Beer Manor. Who knows? Now, it was 6 layers: pancetta, the guinea fowl, the marinated apricots, and then 3 layers of farce. And there was so much opportunity. They didn't really use a lot of
slapstick, get it? Because it's farce.
Exactly. That's why. Exactly. This bake was slapstick.
Because you need to make it slap till it was sticky. Maybe this is where slapstick came from.
It's the farce of slapstick.
Yeah.
There we go. So we had 3 layers of farce too. Like, this show was just laden with farce.
It really is a Mel Brooks.
No hijinks or farce.
No. It's more like your 12th night.
So, 3 hours to do this. You also got a traditional Maggie recipe. There were 3 pages. They've been getting used to, like, less and less and less as you've gone. Then Maggie comes in, 3 pages.
I mean, that's a twist. That's Canadian.
How
this
else?
Coming year, right?
Yeah.
Turn it up. Make it go down, down, down. Second last technical is like basically a paragraph. Everyone's expecting the next one to be a sentence.
Bruno does the last one, and Bruno gives them an entire book in French.
Yes.
In French. So, the other thing that was very Maggie was when they got and when she revealed it to Darren and Rachel. Mm-hmm. There was a red onion and kumquat marmalade, and of course there's kumquats because Maggie Beer. So Maggie Beer going, there's been no kumquats, there's been no verjuice, this will not stand.
Yeah, she's like, I really appreciate what you've done here, but just let me there's a few tweaks. Let me just
let me spice it up a bit.
There's some verjuice and some.
So when are you going to do, Maggie? So I love the idea of
guinea fowl. I
love the idea of Maggie going. I love the idea of Maggie contacting food team and then going. So what ingredients are we going to need? And thinking, like, remember, there were 17 ingredients, for example, in the farce. So I love the idea of them going, Maggie, what's the list? And she's like, guinea fowl, kumquats, vinaicato, verjuice. Is that it? Oh, no, that's just the start. And then pancetta. And then, like, pancetta was in there. And it was...
Okay, no, you know what? The food team did not have to do anything. You know why?
She brought it herself.
Maggie is the mother-in-law, and not your mum. She doesn't do this, but that mother-in-law that you see in the movies that rocks up to like the big family event has basically brought the turkey
because she doesn't think anyone can do it.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
I mean, look, she brought the apricot. She made a point of saying these are my apricots.
Maybe she wanted to say everything's hers. Like, we'll give you the apricots, Maggie. That's all you can tell them.
Yeah, you can bring everything. Maybe there was Davidson plum. But they're like, you can only pick one item. We're giving you the verjuice bottle. Like, that's a given, Maggie. That's a given. Anyway.
They still had a whole stash of it.
So, it was short crust pastry with wholemeal flour, apricots from the orchard, at Stately Beer Manor. The farce was a guinea fowl leg, pork belly, and pork fat. I love the idea that she used pork belly as just a minced up part of an ingredient rather than like a star. It's like it's just there.
Flavor.
And as they said, without a cohesive farce, it won't hold. So it's like the rest of society. If there's not a cohesive farce carrying on where everyone can laugh at something, society fails. Same with this.
It did feel like that this was just like her take on a pork pie. And I fucking love pork pies.
It did. It really did. Darren called Maggie naughty with this one. And Rachel's like, oh, Darren. And I'm like, Maggie's used to that. So I loved when we got to prepare the guinea fowl because we cut to Cal and Alona and Cal's like, have you ever used guinea fowl before? And it's just the way that Alona went, how I'm doing this now should demonstrate to you no.
Yes.
I have not. Now, at this point, Cal said that it looked like a dish that was fit for Bernard. My question is, what sort of banquet would you serve Bernard? Because it feels like he would request a banquet.
Look, I'm thinking it starts with just a simple sardine in a bit of oil. You know, like one fresh,
it's a simple
perfect sardine.
It's like Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah.
Simple ingredient.
Yeah.
Don't muck around with it.
Yep.
Just in the right oil. You know.
It'd be less about, okay, so you'd take Bernard to Greece where Anthony Bourdain had all the fresh seafood, right? And that would be it. Because for Bernard, it's not about the preparation. It's about the produce.
I thought for half a second you were going to say take him to Greece where Anthony Bourdain had all the raki. And I'm like...
Look, that's Bernard and Alona later.
Oh, boy. You know? But, yeah, no, all that fresh seafood, like that would... I feel like it probably would be a Mediterranean-style feast.
And, you know, he'd entertain himself by heading down to the shoreline and just trying to catch the fish in the waters with his paws.
Well, we all know, because Alona said he doesn't get on with others, so therefore he wouldn't let anyone else be at the banquet.
No, it's just him.
It's just him. I don't think Alona's allowed. I think she's got to sit outside.
I think the only thing that would have to be imported is, you know those cafes in Japan where you don't have to interact with anyone? Yes. He'd have his own little, like...
Have his own booth. So, it was again completed with juniper and orange, because Maggie.
Yes.
Then it was time to make the farce. 17 ingredients. Verjuice was there. Again, all the other bits and pieces. Then Adam starts slapping his farce. Then they all start slapping. And they had very different techniques.
Look, I looked at Adam and I'm like, I take back my previous comment
from last week. We're not going to repeat it.
No.
There was some...
Laura was not having a bar of it. She's like, nah, don't like this slapping bizzo.
Alona was like, I'm getting my anxiety out. Yeah. And like, I loved the way she was throwing it almost apologetically. Yeah. So she started throwing it and she's like, recoiled her hand like, ooh.
Sorry.
I don't want to do that.
I think this would be the best fun. Like, why are you having to slap it in the bowl though? Why can't you get it out and just slap it around and on the bench?
Probably food safety.
Molded into 2 buttocks.
And then just slap it?
Just slap it.
Yeah, probably food safety. I mean, otherwise, how they avoided shaping it into buttocks and then just like...
No, give it away.
I don't quite know.
Maybe that's the shots that they couldn't show.
That's the extra outtakes on top of the outtakes. So we then got the rain just as the terrines all went into the oven, which I think was really bad timing for production because the rain started, the terrines went in. That meant they couldn't go out and get shots of dogs in the park.
Yeah, I hope they had a lot of B-roll from earlier.
The birds were out there. No, but it would have been really obvious, like dog running through Sunny Park, cut back to a storming shed.
That's what I mean. It's just a bit of post-production rain over the top.
Really short of footage, so they cut back out like you've got bakers from season 3 sitting outside because we just grab some random footage.
Yeah.
Matt Moran suddenly judging everything. Weird. Borrowing footage from Canadian. It's like, hang on a minute.
There's a red cardinal?
What's going on? Then marmalade happens. We watch the ovens. It continues to rain. There wasn't much they could do here. This is where we got the time call of Bakeroos. It's 30 minutes for you to find a better nickname than Bakeroos.
And I am glad that in the judging, Rachel observed what I observed, and that was the marmalade does match her outfit. Like,
it really
perfectly. Like that berry colour.
Now, I do have a complaint.
Of course you did.
No, but you had the same complaint.
Did I?
You did.
Okay.
And I would like an answer from either party involved.
Yes.
Adam and Nat.
Noughts and crosses. You started.
Who won?
Who won? We saw you start.
Like, the start move was perfect, by the way. It was the centre square.
What did they have to cut that for?
I wanted to know who won. And don't give me that we had a draw and moved on.
No.
Somebody wins.
No.
Who won noughts and crosses? Never start a competition that you don't finish.
Maybe Nat had an epic tantrum or something and they just went, no, we can't show that.
Lots of swearing.
Yeah, she went rampaging through the shed. I had to reset and come back another day. And like, okay, people, no more noughts and crosses.
It was a Natalie tantrum. But thank you.
No.
Thank you. Anyway, you needed time to rest the pie when you took it out of the oven, the terrine, so it didn't crumble. All of them held. The closest we came was Alona used the Murray River salt container to support it while she poked it out of the thing and nearly dropped it off the top of the salt container. But didn't.
No, it was beautiful. And I love that we were seeing quality baking. Like, there was no drama from the bakes. There was more drama about the noughts and crosses.
I mean, to be blunt, there was no drama in any of these bakes. No. Everyone just baked really well. Again, 2 weeks in a row.
Exactly.
Now with the judging, Maggie said that Darren and Rachel had told her that no matter how hard this challenge was, they'd do well. Now what I liked about this was Darren Purchase was nodding in the background. Like, when, you were younger and your parents told you that you had to say something when you visited a relative.
Yeah.
And then, you said it, and, the relative said something back to you, and the adult would be standing behind you going, nod, yes, say that.
Thank you.
It looked like that with, Maggie standing there, and she's like, Darren and Rachel have said you can do this no matter what. And Darren's behind her nodding, going, I did. Yep. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. That really supportive father going, you're doing well, children. Laura, they said it was beautifully golden, all the decorations were neat. Maggie loved the taste, but wanted more seasoning. The pastry, however, was great. Also, the marmalade wasn't quite as vibrant. Hers cooked down into a bit of a duller colour.
Yeah.
Alona, they said it looked beautiful and had beautiful layers. The pastry was superb. Maggie wanted the marmalade cooked a little more in that case, but Rachel loved the texture of the farce. Adam, the top was neat and really pretty. The marmalade was very eye-catching. Maggie actually said that the marmalade was better than hers. The layers were excellent. The farce held really well. That was where Rachel commented that, you slapped your farce really well. Never thought I'd say that on TV. The pastry was super flaky. It was cooked really well, and it was basically sensational. So Laura was third. Alona was second. Adam ties Ella with 5 technical wins.
Yes.
So they are now sitting joint top of the tree. So well done, Adam. I mean,
we have our technical champs.
There needs to be a technical trophy. But yeah, I think it's also pretty safe to say that depending on how Canadian goes this year, Adam, I think you're probably going to win the technical award at the Virgies. So,
What?
clear the shelf.
What kind of colloquial name would we give the Bakeoff team? Because you know how there's the Matildas?
Yes.
And we've got the Hockey Roos and all that kind of stuff. What are we looking at for the Bakeoff team? Is it the Pavlovaroos or the Lemming?
They're going to be the Lemingtons.
The Lemingtons. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay.
They've got to be the Lemingtons.
Yeah.
I feel like that's...
And Matt Moran can sponsor them and they be the Matt Moran Lamingtons.
Oh, the Matt Moran Lamingtons. There we go. We're there. We're home. We're done. We're perfectly...
We're all the way.
Oh, 100%. Then we cut back and the shed has been completely dressed up in flowers and extra bunting. Mm-hmm. And by the way, can I just say, the shed always looks correct with bunting.
Yeah.
Like, the shed is not the shed without bunting. It looked really good.
Yeah, love a bit of bunting.
We love a bit of bunting. With Maggie being back as well, none of this corner talk bullshit.
Oh, back at the table.
Table talk.
Yep, good.
And I like table talk.
Yes.
I missed it. Like, it was good. They all sat around. They all
Breathing,
had a chat.
reset.
It felt like everyone was having a lovely chat. It didn't feel like they were standing in the corner whispering about other people.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So Cal then joked about her and Nat were going to steal everything that wasn't nailed down, followed by the beautiful visual of Cal dropping cutlery out of her pants, which I thought was, like, the timing on that joke was absolutely exquisite.
Yep.
It's one of the best jokes of the series. Now, the showstopper was a 3D illusion cake. And this was one of my favourite Nat jokes of the series when she went. It was a chance to make Darren Purchase feel better about eating inanimate objects and going, "Oh, I think it was cake." It was a button, Darren. We all knew it was a button. Now, they said it could be any flavour or style or design, and they had 4 hours. Now, I'm going to ask a question. This is not a criticism.
Okay.
It said illusion cake.
Yes.
Laura and Alona both made a series of small things. Mm-hmm. Adam made a singular cake.
All right,
So my only question is, again, the brief was very vague in terms of it just sort of said any flavour, style or design, but it did say a 3D illusion cake. So it's just a question.
Okay.
About,
Look, I think
should they have made something singular? When we've seen it happen in other series, it's been a singular cake.
Yes.
So, look, and again, they were really creative and I like what they did, but I'm only asking the question because whenever we've seen 3D illusion cakes in other series, it's been a singular thing.
Yeah, look,
So,
I don't really have an opinion on this. I want to. I feel I should, but
you don't have to.
But I just don't. Like,
You
and
can,
I'm sorry,
literally, you can literally just look at me and say, "Chris, you're wasting your time, move on."
No, I'm just like, the semantics are there about it being a cake. But, if you were at a restaurant, or not a restaurant, cafe, and they brought you out a big whole cake or a few smaller cakes to eat, I mean, you're not going to complain either way.
Well, it depends if I ordered a big cake.
Yeah. And look...
If I ordered a big cake, I'm probably whinging.
And I think that there is challenges with both. Like for Adam, it was the construction, having the vase stick together and those layering and having it all come together. And then for Alona and Laura, it was about the smaller pieces, like each one is individual and also getting the flavours and everything right.
Oh yeah, look, there's not one of them easier than the other, and that's not like I want to make it absolutely clear to everyone. I'm not saying that one of them is right and one of them is wrong. It's literally just a question on the brief. So, and again, I can already hear somebody sitting at home yelling out, "You are too pedantic. Move the fuck on." And fine. So, Laura then produces the most Lurpak that anyone's ever seen.
She's like, Maggie's in the shed.
I wonder if this was Laura going, well, if things go really well for me at the end of this and I happen to walk away with a cake plate, I should really, make Lurpak happy. She did interviews all the way through where she talked about she loved the quality of the Smeg products. Now she's working with Lurpak. All that we needed at the end was when she got the cake plate was to throw some Murray River salt in the air. That's how she celebrated.
Some lucky almonds.
Yeah, lucky almonds and some Murray River salt. Anyway, Adam. So Adam was making a vase of flowers. Mm-hmm. Now, he did say this is the first time he's ever attempted an illusion cake. Painted fondant and paper wafer flour. So the paper wafer came back from the start of the series. Mm-hmm. lemon and thyme cake with a lemon compote, blueberry and juniper cream. Now, for Maggie, as I said, this was a very new thing. For everyone else who's seen the previous 9 weeks, this is Adam doing Adam shit. In terms of, oh, look, juniper. Oh, look, booze.
Although I did like to see that Laura actually took a little leap.
Yeah, I was going to say, so Laura seemed to have stolen the booze from Adam's still.
Yes, she's like...
We always say there's one baker that keeps a still under their bench.
Yeah.
Adam not only had a still, but a series of hip flasks. But Laura went with the hawker breakfast. So copper 2 cups coffee sponge, Irish liqueur jelly, brown butter sponge egg coated in gold chocolate, dark chocolate coffee bag surrounded in rice paper with hazelnut liqueur ice cubes.
This was ingenious. I loved where her thought process went. Like, it's got so many different textures and techniques in this that, you know, it showed her, like, she was thinking outside the box on everything, as well as the flavor profiles and all of that nature stuff as well, which I really liked.
Yeah. And then Alona. So Alona talked about making a mandarin jam for her mandarins, which was very the Snosberries taste like Snosberries. So
I'm glad she went for the obvious route and not to fuck with everyone. Like, that would have been hilarious, though.
Yeah, that would have been great. Kiwi flavoured banana. That could have been great. Mandarin flavoured kiwi, banana flavoured mandarin, and an onion flavoured onion. I'm disappointed she didn't go with an onion jam. I wanted an onion jam. Anyway, so gingerbread cake. She made a singular cake. It wasn't her devil's food cake. It was gingerbread. So it was kiwi, banana, and mandarin flavoured for each. And she made an onion with gold chocolate ganache. Now, she covered it in marzipan and hand-painted, especially the skin of the onion.
Onion, yeah.
And she went with marzipan over fondant. She said she doesn't use a lot of fondant. Good.
But the marzipan would also pair better with the ginger.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So there was one of it was flavour, but the other part of it is definitely you don't want to be using fondant. I hate fondant. Anyway.
Cut to Adam.
Yeah,
using fondant.
Adam wasn't so much using fondant as he was hoarding fondant. I thought Adam was going to be able to craft a couple of new hosts, a couple of new presenters, 2 other bakers, or maybe Adam's family couldn't have made it. He could have just carved them out of the fondant.
No, he was making a vase, and what he needed was a pottery wheel with that big slab of fondant. Like, just
God, what's he from the Great Pottery Throwdown sitting in the corner crying? Just getting tears. This is the most beautiful fondant I've ever seen.
It's the tastiest I've ever eaten too.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Keith. Really appreciate you.
He and Darren just going around eating inanimate objects. He's a cake.
You can say that all you want, but there has literally been a Japanese game show. The clip was going around again this week, but I've seen it a few times. There was literally a Japanese game show, which was, I think, loosely titled, Is It Candy?
Oh.
And it was like, so like there's a shoe, and is the shoe candy or was it an actual shoe?
I've seen something on Netflix like that too.
Is the table a real table or was it made out of candy?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been done. Of course, the Japanese game... We go back to Japanese game shows again. Maggie asked about the flavours around the gingerbread. And the reason why she was going with the marzipan, apart from not using fondant a lot, was that she wanted it to look more organic, especially with the onion. Now, Laura was making all of the boozy jellies with the still. This is what we got Nat's joke about her mum thinks she's a contestant and she's still shocked that she's there.
Nice work.
Then all the bakers came in. And we open with Laurent walking in the door and going, wouldn't it be funny if someone fell over? Not me, but someone. And then we also heard him say later on that he wanted to eat all the displays on the table, to which Nat very quickly told him not to touch them.
He's just the child that you're like...
It walked straight over, I think it was... It walked straight over to Adam and goes, I'm going to annoy you. And I could almost see Adam go, don't. Please
today.
don't.
Not today.
Now, Alona was in blowing up water balloons. And there was a pause before she said why she was doing it.
I just thought it was just... she's like a bit of time to kill.
Well, there's water outside.
There's water outside.
Paper mache technique.
I mean, technically...
Making kiwi.
Any balloon on those days would be a water balloon. Because it's just... Yeah.
But yes, paper mache technique here, making kiwis.
Yeah. Just dip it in.
Yep. Adam was that was when we come back to Adam actually crafting.
You could make edible paper mache using like rice paper and stuff. Like,
you could. We've seen a lot of rice paper this series.
Yeah, paper
And the
mache
edible
statue.
paper.
Yeah.
Something I didn't know was a thing and didn't really need to know was a thing until this series. But anyway, we then get the last of the cat photos. Mm-hmm. Now, I say last of the cat photos, but what I really meant is best of the cat photos.
Look, there was always, another level to go to, and I'm glad they held off on this for the finale.
The end.
Yeah.
It looks like they actually took that photo specifically of Darren to draw the whiskers on it. I would have the only thing that could have made it even better was if they got Darren to put whiskers on and then take the photo. But
Or he walks in the door.
just with the whiskers on. Walks up to a bench and goes, "Hey, Alona," and she loses it. They were probably worried about what Bernard would think.
Yes.
I wonder how Bernard has gone. We'll have to find out. At some point, we will get Alona on the podcast, and we will have to find out how Bernard took all of these photo frames of other cats.
Yeah, like how bad was that?
Yeah,
like,
how did that go?
What kind of discussion was had? What words were exchanged?
Yes. So the families were all outside lurking while the other bakers all sat inside. I thought that was really funny. Yeah. But then they brought the families in for their dramatic moment, and we got Alona's big hug in particular was the comment that came back as she's giving him a hug is, "You're cutting off my circulation." Small Alona, big hug. Now, we then got to the last minute, and they non-stop clapped. And it felt a little bit like Soviet Russia.
Keep clapping.
Was Maggie Comrade Stalin? She started clapping and was like, "The beer is clapping. The beer is. We must keep clapping while the beer is clapping."
Like the Queen, you can't continue to eat if the Queen finishes it, or the King now.
Yes.
Oh,
no, she'll make an appearance at the Virgie. She always does.
Well, okay.
Spirit World,
Yeah, get out the Ouija board.
Ouija board, we'll get her. Anyway, in the last 10 seconds, by the way, if you looked in the background of one of the bench shots, you would have seen Aaron and the corner of Ella's head. Which was a good little glimpse there for anyone who was paying attention. The judging. Adams. Looked really pretty. They said a lot of work had gone into it. I'm going to guess about 4 hours worth, if I'm honest. The cross-section looked amazing. Rachel loved the vibrancy of the blueberry in particular. Darren thought it was delicious. Good lemon sponge. The buttercream was well balanced. Darren was worried it might have been a little bit of a simple bake, but he thought the juniper was balanced really well. So did Rachel. Maggie wanted more.
In distilled form,
in a
glass
form, in some form of glass bottle.
Maybe with a bit of lemon myrtle steep to do it.
You reckon she sits down of an afternoon and has a lemon myrtle gin?
Of course she does.
Of course she does. Yeah. Alona.
With a Davidson plum chaser.
Now, Rachel Koo's comment here was the bananas looked like they were ready for banana bread. They were a bit dark. All three of the fruits had the fruit filling in there, and they said it went really well. The cake had a really nice warmth. The banana flavour was really good. The kiwi was bright and vibrant and worked with the gingerbread. They did say they wanted the texture on the mandarin outside. There were no dimples on the mandarin, and that would have been a little bit of an extra point. The ginger was a really good combination, though, with mandarin. They said the onion skin looked amazing, and the caramel notes in the chocolate went beautifully with that gingerbread cake.
See, they were talking about using a toothpick. I'm like, why not something like, those like scrubbing things that were like octagonal shaped with all the
I would have seen if there was a meat tenderizer around somewhere.
Oh, and just rub that on it. That's a smart idea.
Yeah, just roll it in the meat tenderizer. Anyway, Laura. The coffee cup layers were absolutely excellent. The whole design brought back memories for Rachel in particular. The bag. Now the coffee bag, we never really had coffee bags around here. There was a company that was doing tea at the markets that I used to go to all the time.
Delicious.
Sip Tea, who are no longer in business, unfortunately. I looked it up.
I reckon.
I looked it up. Yeah, it was around COVID time. But there was the same thing. It was in the bag and you walk around drinking from the bag. It was great. So the hazelnut liqueur went really well in the jelly. The sponge was moorish. Egg was well designed. The sponge had great texture. Darren did suggest that it could have made the yolk with a liquid centre. Yep. So when you cut into it, you got the oozing of the yolk. Maggie said that was a hard-boiled egg. Maggie, if you listen to Laura's description, it was a soft-boiled egg. Darren was right. The cup had an absolutely fantastic crunch, and Rachel said that the cake nailed the flavour from a texture and a visual standpoint as well as the overall. Then we go to the judging. They sit around at the table and all drink champagne.
I know. Fuck the tea off.
Maggie basically interviews everyone and goes, "Was this good?" And they're like, "Yes." Then we cut back, and the winner is Laura.
Yeah, it was quite a quick announcement, and I didn't mind it. I liked how we didn't
No faffing.
no faffing,
No speeches from the judges. They learnt from where Matt Moran couldn't see.
Yeah, I think it was a very succinct.
It also looked really dark outside.
Yeah, I think everyone would by that stage is like, we're soaked through, we're freezing our tits off. Let's get out of here.
It looked really wet. Yeah. It looked really cold. It looked like everyone was just like, "Can we go home?" So not in a bad way, just it's cold.
Yeah, and look, when they did the little reel of bloopers, or
the bloopers were great.
I loved it. Neil on the swing.
So the two highlights for me.
Yes.
Darren's. I want the audio
of
unedited audio of Darren Purchase saying, "I fucking love cakes." Yeah. But Neil's unenthusiastic chair ride.
Yeah, just like, all right, I'm on it.
And for people, I've had a couple of people ask, we are still going to be talking to bakers, so yes, we will be talking to Neil.
Yes.
And everyone else.
It's just been a very busy couple of weeks.
It's been an incredibly busy couple of weeks, but that is all coming, so that is all ahead of us still. And then that was it. And we were done.
Yeah.
It's been a really interesting first series. I think it's been overall incredibly positive. I thought, again, I think Nat and Cal were outstanding. We said we really love our Mel and our Claire.
Yes.
But while I didn't need to make the change and it would have been just as good, those two were never going to do anything other than an amazing job. And I'm so pleased personally, and I said this all the way through, that people are seeing Natalie Tran.
Yeah.
And look, I'll say it, and I don't care if she likes it or not. Mum had said to me early on that she was never a massive fan of Cal Wilson.
Yeah.
But I think Cal Wilson's grown in a lot of people because Cal's been absolutely spectacular in this series too.
Cal Wilson.
I love Cal. I love Cal, and I love Nat, so I love both of them. And
I think for me, the person who I've really, really grown grown a shine to is Rachel Khoo.
Yeah.
Like Darren, that was never going to be a thing.
We knew Darren Purchase was amazing.
Yeah, but like whenever I've seen Rachel on other TV shows and stuff, she's like a bit of reserve is there. Whereas
I like this Rachel.
I love this Rachel. She's a little bit goofy, a little bit cool.
And we've made comments. We've made a few comments at times that occasionally she does the just repeating back what they've said. But that's just
she's finding her groove.
Yeah, that's finding your groove. And occasionally, what else are you expected to say?
Exactly. It's
what are you looking for, Rachel? Flavor. Okay, cool, fantastic. So she's actually we talked about this before the series, and I was like you, deeply unsure about that one.
Yeah,
but
I think she's a beautiful pick. Yeah.
And I think one thing I loved about it is we've had a more expansive range of bakes this year.
We have. I think Matt and Maggie did a brilliant job, and I think, they probably would have continued to do a brilliant job, but when you have change come in and they're not just bringing the same as before.
And that's the big difference.
Adding to it, yeah.
The big difference with the change here versus the change in the UK is you replaced Maggie, you replaced Mary Berry with a younger version of Mary Berry.
Yeah.
Whereas with this one here, you went with a change.
Exactly.
And it's a different style, but the ethos remains the same. That love the bakers, love the bakes, which we've talked about from day one, remains the absolute core and heart of this show. Mm-hmm. And I think we saw it here. So again, I think Laura, a very well-deserved winner.
Yeah.
Her range of flavours, her use of different styles, her use of her heritage was really good.
Drawing on stories and stuff.
Yep.
Look, I went in this without a dog in the race, if that makes sense.
Dog in the fight, yeah.
Dog in the fight. Oh, yeah.
I know.
I just thought all three were very deserving, and it just came down to small things.
It's what when we've said all the way along, you love an episode and you love a grand final where it's just everyone bakes really well and you've got to make a decision.
Yeah.
And if they had talked about the idea of it being the hardest decision they had to make, it was legitimate in this case. Like it was a line ball decision.
Yeah, we've had Bakeoff grand finals in the past where you can't the moment Barb's bloody
chest fell over.
Chest fell over. Like we're not talking from the front.
Sea chest.
Sea chest. It those things are heartbreaking, and it's just so nice to see people not have to go through some heartbreak.
Yeah. And, again, it was really good to see just everyone did their best and everyone came out of it going, that was really good.
Yeah.
So congratulations to Laura. Congratulations to the other two as well. Congratulations to everybody involved with the show. It's been absolutely outstandingly good season. We've definitely enjoyed it. Thank you everyone who's been listening, feedback, comments, live tweeting, all of those things, Instagram, sharing episodes. Keep sharing the episodes.
Yeah.
We've got some more things coming.
Like and subscribe.
We are not done.
Smash that like button.
We are not done. There are still more things coming here. And also, in the very near future, the Great Canadian Baking Show comes back for its next season.
Yeah.
And this train continues, folks. We do not stop. And we can't stop. We won't stop. We shan't stop. So until next time.
Thank you, Miley.
Until next time, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
We'll catch you all a bit later.
Finn.